My name is Dan Williams. I'm 30 years old. For 12 years. My name is Dan Williams and I'm 12. No, I'm not 12 years old. No. My name is Dan Williams and I'm 30 years old. Since October 2001, I've had some sort of convulsion disorder. I also suffer from My name is Dan Williams, I'm 30 years old, and I suffer from a major anxiety disorder. Since October 2001, the anxiety has manifested itself in convulsions. Since October 2001, the anxiety has manifested itself in seizure-like convulsions, but not epilepsy. Sometimes it's just easier to whisper, to talk quieter, so here's the rest of my story. Life sucked. No, not really. But it was difficult. I think in second grade I was diagnosed with ADD. But looking back, I think it should have been Asperger's. I struggled socially and to understand how to do things. And sit down to do math homework, or I'd look up at the board and the math homework and I'd know the answer. But you asked me to write the work, to show the work, and I couldn't do it. It just, for whatever reason, didn't function. I just couldn't write. Trying to take notes in class, for whatever reason, I couldn't put the pen to paper. And I could understand and remember what the teacher was saying sometimes, or what was written on the board, but to then copy it down didn't work. I ended up getting this small computer, a little handheld computer in '99, in 9th grade, and I was able to type on that little thing and take notes really well. But writing by hand didn't work. And because of not being able to do my homework consistently and just being socially awkward, I was made fun of a lot in school. It didn't help that just before the end of 6th grade, we moved from Northern California, Eureka, to Wisconsin, to a town of 1,000 people. The school was K-12 with 375 students total. It sucked. And, it didn't help that I made a fool out of myself within the first couple weeks. Yeah. But when I say that Columbine was the best thing that happened to me, I'm not over-exaggerating, because the other kids actually said, maybe we should be nicer to Dan, because he might do something like that. I had to say, no, I would not do something like that. I'm not that type of person. I don't believe in harming anybody else. I don't want to harm anyone. I don't want to affect anybody else. You know, you have your life. I want mine. I just want to have a life. Um, yeah. Um, it's so the anxieties. I suffered from depression because of being bullied and picked on and made fun of, shoved into lockers, and and shoved around, and more worse. Cat wants in, back in. I'm busy, cat. Stupid monster, you need to shut up. I hate noises, especially cat noises, or dog noises are even worse than cat noises. Come here. Hey, have a seat. No? Fine. Yeah. Cats. Whatever. Where was I? Talking about junior high, I guess. And then, well, Columbine happened, and things started getting a little bit better. As sad as that sounds. And then everybody realized that I was a little bit older and I was going to get my driver's license first. And so they started being my friend because they wanted to get a ride in my minivan that we had. My parents' minivan. It's an awesome van. And then I was in the school band, and then was it sophomore year I was the school mascot. So, 16, school mascot. I was a frog. It was fun. During basketball. So it was hot in the heated gym in this giant foam head, and shoulder pads, arm pads, leg pads, and spandex, and yeah. And then junior year, 2000, my dad had the privilege of participating in the downsizing of his company. He got laid off, and being a geologist, he wasn't able to find much in Wisconsin. So he started looking back here in California and found something in San Luis Obispo, where his sister and friends went to college, and he had, yeah. Okay, I'm starting to spaz or convulse. Ouch. Oh, I don't know if you can see it with the black. Oh, well, you can probably see my hand. It's fascinating. Okay. Med break. Maybe. Yeah. Welcome to my life. This is what I go through on a regular basis, not just daily or weekly, but constantly. It's not stopping anymore. Since October 2001, just after moving back to San Luis Obispo, or moving to San Luis Obispo, back to California, a year later, exactly, within a few days, started had some sort of pass out thing or something. I just started working at UPS in the morning, worked 3 morning shifts. I just had the first full 4-hour, 5-hour shift. I guess 5 hours because it was 4 to 9 a.m. Then I spent the rest of that day working on my car and had some frosted Pop-Tarts. And then was working on my car and then went to work that evening at the movie theater downtown. And while cleaning up, I think it was, actually, yeah, I remember now. It was Rat Race. The movie was Rat Race. I was cleaning, and yeah, my memory's good. But yet, Rat Race and Screen would be 4. And so I was cleaning the theater and then came to laying on the floor. Just opened my eyes laying on the floor. Just walked up the ramp and the next thing I knew I was, what? And I was sore and I just exhausted. Like I'd had a workout. And then a little bit later, a couple of the other girls came in wondering where I was because I'd been apparently missing for like 45 minutes. And I did not think I'd been gone nearly that long. Anywhere close to. So you're like, well, whatever. I went home. Because and then the next day we went into the doctor and you're like, well, we don't know what happened. So if it happens again, come back. You know, the typical thing that hospitals and doctors say. Make sure it's still recording. Yep. Okay. So then, like 2 months later or so, I was working the concession stand, I ended up quitting UPS. I was wiped out the next morning, and I was like, I'm not going to continue working at UPS in the morning and theater in the evenings. Yeah, working an evening job and a morning job, probably not good. Not a good idea to do that. So, a month or two later, I was doing the concession stands, all the popcorn, the drinks, and candies, and things like that for people, and it was a big rush. I don't remember what was playing at that time. I think it was just before Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter. Yeah. And then once the crowd finally died away, and we got relaxed and everything calmed down again, and I was getting ready to. I was starting to walk back to the back break room to get some water, and then I just collapsed. My body just gave out and started. All my muscles just got tight, rigid, and I wasn't able to move. My heart was pounding and beating very fast. I was very lightheaded, heavy breathing, hyperventilating, and then after a couple minutes, I managed to move enough to bang on a cabinet there, and then some of the girls came around and saw me convulsing on the ground, and some calls, of course, called 911 and dealt that, and they went in, and they didn't know what was going on. I don't remember what they did at that point, but because the way my heart was going and breathing, I started seeing a cardiologist. So I saw a cardiologist for a couple months, but started having, Harry Potter. Yeah. Dumbledore. Yeah, good times. So I was working the opening door ripping tickets for the first Harry Potter premiere, the opening show. So it was, of course, sold out with kids on field trips. Their classes, the elementary school classes took field trips to go see the Harry Potter movie, the first showing. Cool, great, good for them. We didn't have any field trips like that to a movie. Anyways, but big book, good stuff. Great book, great books. So I was working door, ripping up tickets, and having to talk to tons and tons and tons of people, 400 people, 500 people, and, well, for just the one screen, it's 400, or it was either 375 or 475 that would fit in the theater. Screen 3, don't know. Yeah, good memory. Which has confused my doctors, confused everybody. Somebody who has a convulsion disorder usually has some memory problems. But for long-term random memories, I remember things. But for tasks and daily stuff, I don't. Yeah, here I am rambling off on tangents, and this is what I do. This is the way my brain works. It's... Yeah. Harry Potter. So after the big group of tons and tons of people going through and be middle of the hall on the right, middle of the hall on the right, middle of the hall on the right. Please no coffee. Please, you have to drink your coffee or hot chocolate outside. Sorry, we can't have the hot drinks, hot beverages inside. No, yes, I see that in your purse. You can't get by me with that. Be middle of the hall on your right, middle of the hall on the right. Yeah. And finally, when it all cleared, I started walking to the back, towards the back or over to the bench to sit down, and I just collapsed. And convulsions, and it looked like a seizure. Everyone was like, he's having a seizure. This looks like a seizure, but the cardiologist, then we did a treadmill test. So I was running on a treadmill, and actually before that, that was fall to winter of 2001. Oh yes, I tried in summer of 2001. After getting out of high school in my junior year, because No Child Left Behind cut funding to the school that we moved to in the middle of my junior year here in San Luis Obispo, and with the move and credit requirement differences, I was going to break even with graduating, but with budget cuts and due to No Child Left Behind, the school changed from a 5-period trimester to a 6-period semester, cutting 3 classes out of the school year, which put me 3 classes short of being able to graduate. And also because of credit requirement differences and class requirement differences, I was going to have to take 10th grade PE my senior year, as well as 10th grade English my senior year. And in addition to senior English, 12th grade English, and not be able to take band, not be able to take the teaching course that I wanted to take, because at that point in time I wanted to teach high school physics or physical science, something like that, because I had a really cool teacher in Wisconsin, that awesome guy, came out of retirement to teach. He was probably a stoner, or definitely was. Awesome guy. Didn't grade on tests or homework or things like that. No. It was your enthusiasm, what you physically showed you could do and learned, what you could express that you learned. And so I got A's. I burned a couple sponges, and I blew the power in the school so there's no power in the school for a couple days, and therefore no school. So I got an A. So I wanted to be a teacher like that. But because of No Child Left Behind, and budget cuts to the school, I wasn't able to do that. And moving, and just difficulties of Asperger's, and not being able to get homework done. And yeah. So it was, yeah. Where was I? So summer 2001, I tried to sign up for the National Guard, because I'd scored off the charts on the ASVAB test, the military placement test, aptitude test. So I was like, cool, I'll go do something awesome. I'll go help people. So I went into the recruiter, Colonel Daniels. I don't know if I should be saying that. But with my name being Daniel and his, and in school I'd met his daughter, and she said if we got married I'd have to take her name so I could be Daniel Daniels, and blah blah blah. But that didn't go anywhere. What? So yeah, the colonel, the recruiter says, he'd asked me I mentioned that I had ADD and that I'd taken Ritalin, because he asked me about medications I'd taken through my life, and I said I'd taken Ritalin between third or fourth grade through the end of 7th grade. Um, and as soon as I said that, he pretty much said goodbye. Um, so he turned me away because I'd taken Ritalin. And, well, I guess it ended up working out kind of in my favor because that was summer of 2001, and then September 11th, 2001 happened, and then I kind of wanted to go. I wished I had been enrolled in the Guard at that point because I wanted to go to New York and help save somebody. But when I didn't have the funds to do so or anything like that, and because I'd been pushed out and denied admittance to the Guard, and my parents said, no, you probably shouldn't do that. So I kept working. I had to work, get a job, And then a month after, October 8th, 2001, I had the first seizure. So I guess it worked out to not have gone, not to have joined the Guard, and not to have gone to New York. If I had something like that happen, then that could have just created more problems. So the cardiologist, we did spring 2002, well, I guess winter 2002, at January, started community college after the theater fired me just before the end of the year, because one of the guys who no, I'm not going to go into that. Being called a cat, donkey, black person that has sex, and then because I left after that, I got fired, and he didn't. So then I went, January came, and so I went and got a job at McDonald's. And I walked in, dress shirt, tie, resume in hand, just to pick up the application. And the manager's like, yeah, you got the job. Go over to, I don't have the paperwork, so go over to the other McDonald's, and they'll tell them that you got a job, that I just hired you, and yeah. It's like, okay, cool. That was seriously 2 minutes from walking in the door to job. So there it goes to say something about having a nice shirt and resume, even at McDonald's. Gets you a job. I worked there for a couple months, but after 2 weeks, the manager had to run off to the bank to get more fives, and she put me in charge because I'd been there the longest, other than the cooks who didn't really speak much English and couldn't work the front. So I'd been there 2 weeks, and I was now in charge at 9:45 in the morning. And the manager didn't show back up for 2 hours, which meant that I then had to, after being there only 2 weeks at age 18, I'd never worked in fast food before, anything like that. I'd done grocery and hotel guest services, and then the theater, and the 3 days at UPS. And I was put in charge of the transition from breakfast to lunch, and the cooks were taking half an hour to get food made. So I was having to deal with upset customers and things like that, and I don't know what the point of this story. So manager finally comes back, and then after she got chewed out by the customers for leaving the store with leaving someone in charge who's had only been there 2 weeks, they told me I was going to be manager. And so that was still January. Finally, mid-April, when the owner found out that I had been seeing a cardiologist, decided to take me off the work schedule until I got a note from the cardiologist that I was okay to work, which I did, and he still didn't put me back on the work schedule. I just left. I was like, forget this. I quit. If you're gonna treat me like that, I'm leaving. I could have sued him, and I probably should have sued him. I don't know, it's probably too late now, 13 years later. I think there's a statute of limitations or something like that. But besides that, McDonald's closed down anyways, and he is no longer owners of it for several years before it even closed down. Whatever. But I started community college in 2002, and what should have been this spring of my senior year. Because I did first grade twice due to moving from a move from the San Bernardino Mountains area in California to Eureka. Had to repeat first grade, so actually ended up lining up with where I should have been. Ended up graduating at 18 instead of graduating at 19. But I didn't actually graduate. I took the California High School Proficiency Exam. I guess I didn't mention that previously. And yeah. So I was having problems in school, and had the cardiologist give me the heart monitor and things like that, and I'd go into convulsions. I was talking about the treadmill. On the treadmill that they did, my pulse broke 200 beats per minute. And so once I broke 200, after just like not very long, just a few minutes, they got off. He asked me to slow back down and then to step off the treadmill, but my pulse just stayed up. It didn't go back down at all, or for a while, and then they're like, finally it was like after like 15 minutes, it's like, well, nothing's happening, so we're gonna go ahead and unplug. So he starts unplugging the EKG machine, and then just as he's pulled like the first couple, I'm like, wait, and I felt my pulse drop, and then I crumpled, and just everything crumpled down, and so it made sure I didn't hurt myself and things. And then he said, "Yeah, you're having a seizure. You should go to a neurologist." So I started going to a neurologist, and they did EEGs, and they're like, "This isn't epilepsy. We don't know, but we'll give you epilepsy medication anyways. We'll see if that helps." Yeah. So after getting fired from McDonald's, or losing the McDonald's job, I got angry and decided to drive back up to Eureka and go see some friends. And it was just before my birthday. It was actually the day before my birthday, before my 19th birthday. So I drove up to Eureka, where I went and saw my best friend from elementary school, who I'd kept in touch with over the years, and showed up and spent my birthday with my best friend. We went golfing. And then went to school with him the next day, and was trying to find some of my old friends, some other friends from elementary school. Miracle of Facebook, was able to find almost everybody. Still 2 people that I want to find, but common names: Chelsea Johnson. Yeah, that's not going to find that easy. Oh, my cell phone's about to die. Hold.